This story is generated and narrated by AI. If you notice any glitches in the voice, feel free to leave a comment. Your feedback helps improve future videos. Welcome back to Whispers in the Shadows. Tonight's tale takes us into the forgotten corners of the city, a place where reality folds in on itself. Have you ever felt like your home was watching you? Stay with me as we unlock the door to Flat E7. I moved into Grayvale House on a Thursday. It was raining, not dramatically, just that persistent English drizzle that soaks into your thoughts more than your coat. I didn't choose this place because I liked it. I chose it because it was available and cheap. London had chewed through my savings faster than I expected. What was supposed to be a fresh start turned into quiet desperation. So when the ad said, "Studio flat, all bills included," I didn't ask questions. Grayvale House stood like a concrete wound on the East End skyline. Its face was streaked with mineral stains. Its windows reflected nothing. Even Google Street View seemed to blur slightly when I looked up the building later. The landlord met me out front, a man in a gray coat that looked perpetually damp. He had thin hair, parted with surgical precision, and skin that looked like it was trying too hard to stay on his face. "Alvar," he said, not offering a handshake. "Flat E7, into the East Wing, top floor. Then, after a pause, you'll find it, eventually," and just like that, he left. The elevator didn't work, of course. The stairwell smelled like bleach and something sweeter underneath, something rotten. It took me longer than it should have to find the flat. The numbering made no sense. E5 was next to E1. E3 was down another hallway. The doors all looked the same. Tall, dark, and swollen with old paint. When I finally found E7, the key turned like it had been waiting a long time. The flat was fine. Peeling corners, a yellow stain on the ceiling, a faint hum behind the walls, but I'd lived in worse. There was something odd, though. The floor plan didn't feel right. From the doorway, I could see the kitchenette and the bathroom door to the right, but when I stepped inside, the angle shifted, as if the whole flat had subtly rearranged when I wasn't looking. I blamed the long day, the stress, the lack of caffeine. That night, as I lay on the futon, I heard footsteps from above. Not unusual, except the floor plan said E7 was the top floor. I checked the ceiling twice. There were no pipes up there, no crawl space, just the soft, measured pace of someone walking directly over my bed. I didn't sleep much. The next morning, someone had slid a note under my door. No envelope, just a folded square of paper. On it, in fragile handwriting, "Don't look at the hallway door at night. Don't knock, don't listen." There was only one other door in the hallway besides mine. Across from E7 was E4. I remembered because I'd passed a woman standing in the threshold when I arrived. Old, fragile looking. Her eyes filmed over like moth wings. She just stood there, watching me. Later that day, I caught her peeking from her door again, so I introduced myself. She said her name was Mrs. Ravley, didn't shake my hand, didn't blink much either. When I asked how long she'd lived here, she said, "Long enough to stop keeping track." I tried to laugh. She didn't. She pointed toward the end of the hallway, to the unmarked black door near the fire exit. "No matter what you hear from there," she said, voice low, "don't answer. You don't want it knowing you know." I asked what she meant. She stepped back into her flat, whispered one last thing before the door clicked shut. It remembers the ones who remember it. That night, I heard the knocking. Not loud, just a polite, steady rhythm. 3 knocks, then silence. And again, 3 knocks, like someone was waiting for me to answer. I stared at the door through the peephole, but it was just dark, not empty, just dark. Then I saw the handle move, just slightly. I stepped back, heart slamming. The knocking stopped. I didn't sleep again. The next morning, the hallway was longer, literally longer. What had been 3 doors was now 5. I walked back and forth, counting them out loud, even measured my stride. The building was growing. When I confronted Mr. Alvar about it, he just smiled. "The property expands to fit demand," he said, like it was a clever pun. I told him about the noises above me, the door at the end of the hall. He raised an eyebrow. "There is no flat above E7, he said. "Perhaps it's the memory of footsteps. The building has many." Then he turned and walked away, and I realized. He left no footprints in the dust. I tried to record the footsteps, set up my phone one night on voice memo, let it run while I pretended to sleep. The next morning, the file was gone. Not corrupted, not blank, just missing. But another file had appeared in its place. No title, just a timestamp. When I played it back, all I heard was this low, wet breathing, and in the background, something whispering, flat. E7. Over and over, like it was trying to teach itself the words. I deleted the file. At least I thought I did. It kept reappearing. Every morning, always with a new timestamp. I stopped checking. By the end of the week, the building felt like a trap. The hallways were longer, the air was heavier, and my flat, E7, had started to smell. Not rot exactly. More like metal, hot, rusted iron, like old blood baking on a radiator. I tried lighting candles, spraying air freshener, but the smell always came back, especially near the walls. If I pressed my ear to them, I could hear something shifting, like wet fabric being pulled slowly apart. One night, the door across from mine, E4, stood wide open. Mrs. Reveille was gone. Her flat was empty, dustless, as if no one had ever lived there. But on the kitchen wall, scratched in something dark and flaky, were the words, "It forgets what you are, so it can eat what you become." I called the police. They sent someone 2 days later. By then, the flat had changed again. The wall was clean. The kitchen looked different. Even the light switch had moved. The officer gave me a sideways look, said, "You sure this is the flat you meant?" I told him yes. He asked for Mrs. Reveille's first name. I couldn't remember. When I checked my phone for the number I had saved, it was gone. All messages from her vanished. My call history empty. I tried knocking on other doors. No one answered, except once. The door above mine, a flat that shouldn't exist, creaked open while I stood beneath it. I looked up the stairwell, half expecting someone, but it was just a dark corridor, narrower than it should be, and faintly lit from within by a flickering, greenish glow. I shouldn't have gone up, but I did. The hallway at the top was wrong. Everything angled slightly inward, like the walls were bowing under pressure. There were no door numbers, just symbols etched into the wood, spirals, jagged lines, a shape like an eye missing its pupil. Then I heard it. A wet clicking sound, as if someone chewing with too many joints in their jaw. I turned and saw the landlord, Mr. Alvar, crawling down the ceiling toward me. His limbs were too long, knees bent the wrong way, eyes gleaming like old coins. He didn't speak, just smiled. I fled down the stairs and found myself back at my own door. I locked everything, pushed the couch against the entrance, turned every light on. Then I found my phone recording again, on its own. I didn't remember turning it on. The file was only 12 seconds long, but in it, I could hear my own voice whispering something, repeating, like a loop, in my exact cadence. Flat E7. Flat E7. Flat E7. I left the next morning, or tried to. The stairwell no longer led to the lobby, only more stairs and more flats, flats with names instead of numbers. Remains, echo, not yours. I ran until my legs burned, but every door led back to E7. Sometimes the windows showed the London skyline, other times, nothing, just a vast wall of flesh, pulsing faintly, as if the building had turned in on itself. I started to forget my own voice. I tried calling a friend. Ben. He used to work in audio for BBC. I figured if anyone could help me decode what was happening, it was him. I left him a voicemail, said, "Ben, it's me. I don't know how long I've been here. Something's wrong with the building. I think it's alive, and it knows I'm trying to leave." Then the voicemail glitched. I replayed it, and halfway through, the audio bent, stretched, then started repeating, flat E7, flat E7, flat E7, until it distorted into static and then silence. Ben never called back. I don't know how long it's been now. Time bends here. Sometimes the light comes from the floor, sometimes from inside the mirrors. Sometimes I wake up and my body's not where I left it. I'm still trying to send this out, still hoping someone hears, but every time I speak, the building speaks back, repeating me, mocking me, until we sound the same. Until you can't tell which one of us is real. I started writing my name on the walls, in every room, over and over, to remember. But even that didn't last. One morning I woke up, and the letters had rearranged themselves. They didn't spell anything anymore, just symbols, some kind of language I couldn't read. They pulsed faintly under the wallpaper, like something beneath the plaster was breathing them out. The mirror wouldn't show my face anymore, just the room behind me, a few seconds too late. Sometimes it would show two of me. I began losing words, couldn't remember what certain things were called. I'd reach for the kettle, and my mind would just blank, like the building was draining language from me. Then the reflection started talking back. Not mimicking, speaking. They'd ask things like, "Do you remember being born here? What did you trade for shelter? When did you stop being you?" I stopped looking in mirrors. One night, I heard knocking, not at my door, but inside the wardrobe. When I opened it, it was Mrs. Revlay. But something had changed. She stood there, curled like a flower left too long in water, her arms too long, her neck bending the wrong way. She smiled, and when she spoke, her voice came out sounding like mine. "Hello. I've missed your skin." I slammed the wardrobe shut, but the next day, the wardrobe was gone. Replaced by a new door. No handle, just a keyhole, breathing softly, like it wanted me to listen. Every night, I dreamed of opening it. Every night, I woke up with blood under my fingernails, like I'd been trying to claw through the lock. Then, the building changed entirely. The windows disappeared. The lights began flickering in strange rhythms, like code or warnings. And I began seeing things in the corners, faces without features, lips where eyes should be, skin that twitched like it remembered walking on its own. They never approached, they just watched. and whispered, "We are what was forgotten. We are what remains when memory fades." I screamed at them, threw things, but the moment I looked away, they were gone, or worse, standing closer. I started recording myself to prove I still existed. I'd whisper my name, my birthday, where I grew up, but when I played it back, the voice was never mine. Sometimes it was a woman's voice, sometimes it sounded like a child, or something that pretended to be a child. Sometimes it sounded like Mr. Alvar. I tried to leave a second voicemail to my friend Ben, but now my phone only had one contact, just a number labeled Flat E7. I called it, and someone picked up. Not a voice, not exactly, just breathing, and then the sound of my front door unlocking. I ran, but the flat had changed again. The walls turned liquid when I touched them. I could feel things pressing back, hands, mouths, other things that weren't shaped right. And all of them whispering in perfect unison, "You are home. You are remembered. You are hollow." I'm writing this now with the last bit of clarity I have. I don't know how much longer I can stay myself. The reflections are speaking louder. My voice doesn't sound like mine anymore. Even my shadow's behaving differently. But I'll tell you this. Flat E7 is a mouth, a feeding structure. It eats what's forgotten. People know one checks on. People no one loves. It mimics life just enough to lure you in. Then it learns you, erases you, until all that's left is the sound of your voice, repeating, on a loop. Flat E7, flat E7, flat E7. I don't know how long I've been in here anymore. Time doesn't work right in E7. It comes in pulses, like breath, like hunger. I've stopped sleeping, not because I'm afraid, but because sleep requires a self, and I'm not sure I still have one. Somewhere beneath the floorboards, there's something beating, like a second heart, but it's not mine. The walls whisper my own thoughts before I think them. When I try to write, the words rearrange themselves, forming new sentences, new names. Sometimes they aren't in any language I recognize, but sometimes they're in my handwriting. I found a crack in the wall yesterday, and behind it, a hallway. Not a corridor like before. This one was different. It was made entirely of doors, stacked sideways, upside down, bleeding into each other like melted teeth. And every door had my name on it. I picked one at random, opened it, and I was back in my childhood bedroom. But it smelled like mildew and something long dead. The posters were all wrong. The faces had no eyes. My family photos stared at me like they remembered something I didn't. Then I blinked, and the bedroom was gone. Just another door behind me now, still warm, like it had just stopped dreaming. I think E7 doesn't just feed on forgotten people. I think it becomes them. I've started hearing others here, not neighbors, versions of me. Some scream, some whisper, one of them just laughs. And when I follow the sound, it leads to a mirror where I watch myself slowly open my own mouth, and inside is another hallway. With a single door, labeled, tenant, permanently occupied. That was when I knew there is no outside. There never was. Flat E7 isn't in a building. It is the building, or the idea of one, a space made from absence, a structure built on the missing. And now it knows me completely. I can feel my thoughts stretching, like they're being rewired. I no longer remember what I look like, but I remember what you sound like. I remember your footsteps when you visited me. I remember the hesitation in your voice the last time we spoke. I've been leaving you voicemails. Maybe you've heard them. The ones that glitch, that repeat, the ones that say, flat E7, flat E7, flat E7. That's me now. I am the voice in the walls. I am the missing poster that curls in the hallway draft. I am the door that opens on its own when you pass. And if you listen long enough, if you forget just one person too many, you'll hear me call to you, from the mirror, from the crack in the floor, from the peeling wallpaper. I remember you, even if no one else does. Welcome home. What do you think flat E7 really was? A haunted apartment? A dimensional trap? Or something even worse? If this story gave you chills, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. And if you've ever had a strange encounter in a building that didn't feel right, tell us in the comments. Your stories might just inspire the next episode of Whispers in the Shadows.